I'm gonna spread my wings and fly away.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Life After Death While Living. This is episode 3 and 4 combined. So last week I didn't post an episode. I was going back and forth between deciding if I wanted to do an episode on my father, but I wanted to be sensitive to my siblings and his relatives that have lost him. So I didn't want to offend anybody. So I'll give you a brief little story behind that, and then we'll move forward into what I had planned for episode 4. So, my dad, Eric Howard, I lost him exactly 2 months after my mom. On July 10th, he suffered from cancer and diabetes, and he called me. We didn't really have much of a relationship, unfortunately. And he called me with some bad news. So I went and I spent the day with him at the hospital. And then the next day after that, he had passed. All I'm going to say really is that grieving stage is weird. And I think I still harbor a little bit of anger. Just for the simple fact, it's like I was grieving for somebody I didn't know. But the idea of it being my father still left me feeling a little lost because I never had that opportunity to have that relationship. But on the bright side, I got to meet all of my siblings, and I'm very thankful for that. So, with respect, I'm just going to move on to episode 4. Well, the details of episode 4. So for episode 4, I just want to discuss 2 pet peeves and maybe letting you guys know a different way to approach people who are dealing with loss. And so I'm just going to start with those pet peeves of mine. One being coming up to someone and asking them, "Are you okay?" I know it might not seem like anything is wrong with asking that question, but when you're dealing with it and someone asks you, "Are you okay?" And I asked a few people who've dealt with loss, am I the only one who felt this way? And they all agreed with me. It was like, what do you mean, am I okay? Of course not. I'm not okay. But another alternative to asking, "Are you okay?" is, "How are you feeling?" Don't ask such a short-ended question, more so less, spark a conversation. And if they're interested, they'll respond. If not, then, you can respect that. Or if you say, I'll give you an example. Someone will come up to me, "Hey, Deja, how are you?" I'm like, "Good, how are you?" And they'll be like, "Oh, I'm fine. How's your mom?" I'm like, "Okay. Well, she passed away. XYZ. Oh my God, I'm so sorry to hear that." That for me is another one. I didn't run that by anyone else, but for me personally, it's like, you don't have to be sorry. I don't need any pity. Maybe it's just the thought, you didn't do anything wrong. You didn't play a role in losing her. So don't feel sorry for me. And in that sense, maybe you can be like, "Oh, I'm glad to see you seem well. Well, how are you holding up since the time has passed?" That's, a more comforting way to approach the situation. For me, at least. That's not everybody, but I think most people that I've spoken to definitely can relate. So yeah, those are really my 2 pet peeves. And I'll just throw in there, another one is telling someone, people lose their parent all the time. People lose their son, daughter, brother, cousin, auntie, uncle. So you should deal with it. No. Nobody's going to deal with death the same. So just make sure you're sensitive to the fact that nobody is going through the same thing regardless of, or dealing with the same emotions regardless of them going through the same loss. So yeah, moving forward, On Instagram, I did a poll of some topics to see what people would like me to mention or share my opinion on that surround death. So I'm going to get into that now. So if you guys see me looking down, it's just to make sure I can get as many responses out and share this video. So the first topic was, do you think you could prepare yourself for death? To be honest, at first my answer was no. And I had a conversation with a good friend, and she kind of opened up my mind that maybe you can prepare yourself for it, because if you're dealing with someone who's either on hospice or life support, or it has been predicted that it's not going to be too much longer of you having them, like an elder or something along those lines, your days are cut short, while they're still here and living. So it's like you're already preparing for not being able to have that time for them anymore. So in that sense, it's like you're grieving for someone who still hasn't left yet. And it's the idea of prepping yourself for how life's going to be once they're completely not here anymore. And when she explained that to me, I completely understood what she was saying. So I guess I was just looking at it from a different point of view. I'll share my experience in the next video, so I'm not going to get into it right now. But I had a completely different view, and it was like maybe her way of thinking was the healthier alternative to mine, because preparing yourself could probably cushion the fall, is what I'll say. So yeah, let's move forward. The next topic was how people feel like they're never fully able to recover. I feel like that's 100% true, because till this day, after losing my mom, you think all these years go by, like it affects you like less. But I wouldn't say that for myself. Speaking for myself, I'd say that I don't think I'll ever recover, because life doesn't stop. And there will be moments where I go through things and I want my mom's advice, and it's like it brings back that pain that I won't have that. There will be moments like the best moment of my entire life, having my daughter, and I have to deal with the fact that my daughter won't have a grandmother on my side, and it brings back that pain. Or even for my daughter getting sick, and you want to call mom, like, hey mom, I'm first time mom, so it's like, mom, Tootie's doing XYZ, and I don't have that. So it creates that pain, and that's something that's going to linger, because I still am going to want for her. I'm still going to need for her. Anything could bring back the pain, even listening to a song, anything. So you're never fully healed. I think you just learn how to coach your pain, so the wound isn't as bad as when it first happened. And maybe, I can't say for the future, I'll get to that point where it won't hurt at all, and I'll be able to be happy and learn how to turn those moments that still sting, like the very first day, into a positive outlook. So yeah, I'm gonna say, as far as right now and through my experiences, I don't see it ever really healing. But the next question was, what are some therapeutic ways to grieve? So for this, I reached out to one of my friends. She's a therapist, and I got some ideas from her just to share. Maybe they'll help someone. So she said writing letters to the people you lost. That could definitely do it. Speaking to them, writing it down. Maybe making it something more personal that you can stick to. Celebrating their birthdays and anniversaries instead of using those dates to dwell on the fact that they're no longer here. You can do things like go to their favorite restaurants, partake in some of their favorite activities, just something in remembrance of them that brings a happy energy. Writing down your memories and keeping notes of those things so you can go back and reflect all the happy things and happy moments you and that person have shared. Or even visiting their grave and speaking to them, if you're capable. That could be a big help. So those were some of the positive things you could do to help you relieve some of that pain. I know for me, one of the main things that I do that keeps a happy moment going is for all my siblings, but at really anybody's birthday, because my mom was going to do it on anybody's birthday, is a cake fight. Somebody, the birthday person, has to get smashed with the cake. I make sure I do it everywhere because my mom definitely would be the one to do it. So I make sure I do that. And it always brings a positive energy even when you start to feel down that she's not there. So that's just one way I keep her happy memories alive. Instead of dwelling on the fact that she's not here for those birthdays, I just make her feel there in spirit. The next topic was knowing your triggers and trying to avoid them. So I would say, especially if you deal with anxiety and depression, you should avoid dealing with anything that would trigger a rush of emotions that maybe you're not prepared to handle at the moment. Like, if possible, I know you can't always avoid them because I have pretty bad panic attacks sometimes. I actually just had one this last week. It didn't get too bad. I talked myself out of it. And, with the help of my cousin and sister and just them talking, it didn't go too far. But I know what it feels like when something happens out of nowhere and then next thing you know, I feel like there's an elephant standing on my chest and I can't breathe. And for me, it could be anything. Sometimes people don't understand it. Like, I try to avoid looking at pictures of my aunt, uncle, my mom, and certain songs, looking at mail with their name on it, things like that. I try to avoid them because I know sometimes I can let them knock the wind out of me. So yeah, I would say trying to avoid the things that bring out the negative and maybe trying to focus on the positive things that get you through those times. Like something that you can focus your energy on so it doesn't take you to that negative place. Whatever it may be, whether it's going on a walk or anything, just to help you stay positive, meditating, talking to somebody, seeking the appropriate therapy, and don't feel ashamed if you do need that person to talk to. I definitely would. So just, try and beware of what could take you back down that wrong direction. The next topic, as I spoke about therapeutic ways, I just wanted to talk about some unhealthy ways, because there is no right or wrong way to grieve. I feel like it's so hard to say or understand what someone is going through. I personally feel like after losing someone, people can deal with suicide, depression, drugs, binging, and all of those may seem like an invalid way to grieve to you, but to the person in the time when they're going through those things, at the end of the day, the way they're dealing might not be healthy, but it doesn't mean that it's invalid. They have reason to feel the way they feel, and everybody's not going to cope the same. Everybody's not going to be strong enough to keep pushing, and sometimes that grief can get the best of you. So, you know, who are we to judge what someone goes through? You should be there for those people and don't apply pressure. Like I said before, when someone says, "Oh, people lose people lose relatives all the time," it doesn't change the fact that some people aren't strong enough on their own. Maybe they need that extra love and support. They don't need someone to look down upon them because of the way they're grieving. I deal with depression, I deal with anxiety, and the worst thing I could hear sometimes is people say, "Oh, you're gonna end up in a crazy house if you don't get it under control," or something like that. And which I know what they mean, but it's a little insensitive to the situation because it's something I don't have control over. So you have to be sensitive to what you say to people when they're dealing with their loss, because there is no right way to deal with it. And I just really hope that people can realize when the way they're grieving isn't healthy so that they can get the help they need. Or, maybe watching this can help them open up to their problems or noticing the problems that they're dealing with. I feel like another major way that I definitely grieved in an unhealthy way was attaching myself to people. You have to love yourself enough, and you have to be enough for yourself to fill what you're missing. What I'm trying to say is, like, I found myself attaching to women because I wanted a mother figure. And when they didn't always hold up to their end of the bargain, it ended up hurting me and sending me back again. Or you get in a relationship and that person makes you so happy that it takes your mind off, and you don't even realize that they're filling that void for you until relationship goes left. And now it's like you're back to feeling alone, but you attached yourself to that person because they were bringing you some sense of happiness. So I feel like you have to find that sense of happiness for yourself, and don't put that power in anyone else's hands, because it could send you right back down to the darkness they lifted you up from in the first place. And just to understand that nobody's ever gonna fill or take the place of the person you lost, but yourself. You have to really figure out what's going to make you happy and what's going to help you not move forward and forget, but move forward and appreciate the positive of being able to have that person for the time that you did have them, and appreciate the fact that you have a love for them that isn't going to go anywhere. I know I tell myself all the time now, I'm happy I had the mother I did. Even though I lost her, I couldn't imagine having anyone else but her. So I'm thankful for the time that we've got, thankful for the time that I was able to spend with her and get to know her for the woman that she was and the woman she made me. And yeah, so may she rest in peace. I'm just gonna say that. Her, my aunt, and my uncle, and my father, may they rest in peace. And hopefully that's all the same for everyone you guys have lost. I know I'm not the only one who's dealt with this. And no, I'm not a counselor. I don't have the perfect way to deal with it. But I'm here and I'm opening up to share my story, my emotions, my opinions, and I appreciate you guys for listening. So if you can, comment, like, and subscribe to my channel. And stay tuned for next week's episode when I'll be going back into story time about my beautiful aunt. So, thanks for watching Life After Death While Living, and I'll see you guys next week.